Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. I have entitled this video, The Sacrifice of Being Half Black. And I don't mean to be offensive, but I realize that some people might take offense to it. But I want to talk about this head football coach at Notre Dame. This is Marcus Freeman. He is the first African American Asian head football coach for a major university. Now, the reason I'm talking about him is because Marcus Freeman does not seem to understand that he has benefited from the suffering, the sacrifice, the advocacy, and even the civil rights movement for Black Americans. Because how many Asian professional football coaches are there? How many Asian college football coaches are there? How many Asian professional football players are there? How many Asian college football players are there? Zero to none, I would suspect. So he is benefiting from his African American side, and yet he doesn't want to give credit to the Black American side. He is the product of a Korean woman and a Black American man who was stationed in Korea in the Air Force sometime back in the 70s or 80s, and his mother and his father either got married or decided to have a family together. Now, he speaks about the sacrifice that his mother made coming from Korea, leaving her family behind to come to the United States. Now, he must think we're crazy. He must not know that we know that South Korea is considered a third world country. They have open defecation. Those women are crossing hell on a spider's web to get to the United States. So his mother then sacrificed to come to the United States. His mother planned and strategized to get to the United States, if anything. But he does not give credit where credit is due. And I have a real problem with this. And this is from NBC News. Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman becomes first Black and first Asian American coach to reach college football finals. Notre Dame football coach Marcus Freeman has scored a historical first. Freeman, whose Fighting Irish won their Orange Bowl college football semifinal game on Thursday, will be the first Black and first Asian American coach to compete in the national championship game. Freeman, who's Korean American, reflected on his trailblazing status after the win. Now, that's the first thing. He identifies as Korean American. I couldn't care less about how he identifies. The problem for me is that he's benefiting from the legacy, from the history, from the hard work of Black athletes, as well as the agency that Black Americans have built up in this country, especially through sports. And he seems to think that, well, it's just because of his ability or just because he had this great opportunity, when in fact, the opportunity for him to do what he is doing was earned through hard work and sacrifice and struggle. Koreans haven't done anything toward advancing civil rights or human rights for that matter in the United States. They're on a begging list just like all these other third world countries. America gives South Korea $68 billion each year. So America is giving away our reparations to these other countries and then calling them model minorities. The scam against us has worked so well that even when people have Black American ancestry, they would rather identify with anybody than identify with us, when we are the ones who created the culture and provided the opportunities for them to get where they are, just like this guy. Before, Black Americans challenged the United States government to change its laws, and as Dr. Martin Luther King said, to live up to its creed of liberty and justice for all. Nobody in this country was doing anything substantive but white Americans. Koreans weren't doing anything but cooking rice and ironing shirts in this country. But then, after Black Americans challenged America to open up its society, then it started bringing all these other people in so they wouldn't have to deal with us. And the Koreans were on the winning end of that. Now, all of a sudden, they're model minorities. So people get to come here and benefit from our struggle without giving us any credit for it. So this guy says it is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter. Great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this. Freeman told ESPN, see, this all lives matter. We are all the same. We just need to get opportunities, not even understanding that, buddy, you wouldn't have any opportunity if it hadn't been for black people. And his father is an embarrassment because clearly he hasn't given his son anything to feel proud about in his blackness. So his son went right on and married a white woman and pretty much has bred the blackness out of his family because these are his children. And these children do not look like black children. So his father successfully bred himself out in 2 generations. And on top of not having any black pride, he also has a thin skin because James Franklin, who is black and the head coach at Penn State, was having a conference after Notre Dame beat Penn State, and they were talking to James Franklin about the black coach at Notre Dame, just like they do. And James Franklin said something like, "Oh well, I envy him his hairline." And this guy, according to the news reports, he got upset because James Franklin said he envied his hairline. Now, what is that to get upset about? So he clearly doesn't know anything about being a black man because black men jank like that all the time. But James Franklin is bald headed. So maybe he just thought his hair was jacked up. Because if he's a Korean, that certainly is not a Korean haircut based on the hair I've seen on Koreans. But anyway, I have a problem with these people, and black people really need to get some pride. And if you're going to marry out into other races of people, at least give your children some history and background about who you are, because you're putting yourself secondary to somebody that you really ought to be putting yourself above when it comes to being an American, because we have made a greater contribution to this country than anybody. And your children ought to be proud of your contribution and your people as proud as they are of their other side. So it's shameful that black Americans don't have any pride and are so ignorant, don't know your own history, and can't even tell your children anything positive about yourself so that they would be proud of you. It's really shameful. Now, to finally drive my point home, this guy said in the article that he was proud of his Korean heritage and that he had grown up and he had taken taekwondo classes. And I'm thinking to myself, well, then why didn't you become a professional taekwondo person, whatever they do professionally? And the answer is because there is no market for that in the United States, not in the same way that it is for football. So there again, you have to fall back on what black people made great. The Koreans haven't been able to make anything great in the United States, not even food. The Chinese are the ones who made the food that people liked. So, and if you like Korean food, great, but that's not a big thing in America. Okay? I'm not talking about outliers. I'm talking about mainstream. What have they made mainstream? Nothing. Okay? But what have black people made mainstream? Everything. Okay? So we got to learn how to stick out our chest and not become arrogant. But we need to know how to form a narrative around who we are so people will stop playing us for cheap, taking advantage of our struggle and not even giving us credit for it. And I will say, black people are doing a good job on social media, especially of calling things out and gatekeeping things and telling it like it really is. And I co sign every bit of it. Now, that's how I feel. Let me know how you feel. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good day.